Right Writers, Cruz here. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, we are going to examine ChatGPT's response to a persuasive essay on the following topic. People should pay extra tax when they buy drinks in plastic bottles. So, how this video will go, Right Writers, is I will review a paragraph and then I will offer some critique on that paragraph, and then we will move on to the next paragraph. Hopefully, this process will allow you to see how ChatGPT addresses various prompts, and you will able to learn from AI how to construct your own essay as or your own future essays as you continue your writing journey. Thank you again for subscribing and liking our videos, and I appreciate you watching and being here today. Okay, Right Writers, let's take a look first at the title given to us by ChatGPT. We have a call for environmental responsibility, imposing an additional tax on plastic bottle purchases. So, definitely based on the title, I can extract from that this essay is primarily going to be focused on environmental responsibility. And again, that's just based on the title. Let's take a look at the first paragraph, and then we will again critique and then move on to the next paragraph. In recent years, environmental consciousness has surged due to mounting concerns about the impact of plastic waste on our planet. Among the most prominent sources of pollution, plastic bottles pose a significant threat to wildlife, ecosystems, and human health. To tackle this urgent issue, it is essential to implement effective measures. In this essay, we will explore the benefits of levying an extra tax on plastic bottle purchases, highlighting ways in which it can encourage responsible consumption and foster a sustainable future. Okay, so absolutely, Right Writers, we have a clear purpose. It tells us in this essay they're looking at the benefits, and they will highlight ways in which it can encourage responsible consumption and also foster a sustainable future. So we have a very clear direction, which I think is wonderful in this particular introductory paragraph. I also really like the idea of how this is negatively impacting wildlife, ecosystems, and human health. And I appreciated that in the beginning paragraph. Let's go ahead and move on, Right Writers, to our next paragraph. Plastic bottles are pervasive in our daily lives, contributing to the alarming accumulation of non-biodegradable waste. These bottles end up in landfills, rivers, and oceans, causing severe damage to delicate ecosystems and disrupting the natural balance of marine life. Implementing an extra tax on plastic bottles would serve as an effective deterrent, leading to a reduction in consumption and subsequent waste, thus lessening the environmental repercussions. Okay, one of the things that I really like about this paragraph, obviously, we see that this paragraph definitely focuses on what was promised in the previous paragraph, because they had mentioned, ChatGPT mentioned, they're going to focus on the benefits of it, encouraging responsible consumption, and fostering a sustainable future. And so that's definitely what this paragraph does. I also appreciate the word choice. So we see words like pervasive. We see words like delicate ecosystems, or that phrasing. We see words like effective deterrent. We see words like subsequent waste, or phrases. And we see words such as repercussions. So we definitely see a variety of word choice, and that helps to elevate this paragraph. In addition, this paragraph also has more advanced sentence structures. This is one sentence. Not only that, if you look at the last sentence in the second paragraph, This is just one sentence. And so there's this sophistication, not only in word choice, but also in sentence structure. Let's go ahead and move on to the third paragraph, right, writers? By imposing an extra tax, consumers are encouraged to adopt alternative packaging solutions that are more sustainable. This tax would motivate individuals to seek out products that use eco friendly materials like glass, aluminum, or biodegradable plastics. As consumer demand shifts towards these alternatives, companies will be compelled to innovate and invest in greener packaging methods, ultimately benefiting the environment as a whole. Okay, like this paragraph for a couple of reasons. It focuses not just on the consumer, but it also focuses on companies. So I like this idea of the consumer and the company. I really love the alliteration that we see. We see alliteration such as companies will be compelled. I love that alliteration. Um, I really appreciate even this assonance, adopt alternatives, adopt alternative, and then they go on to packaging. They also give us very clear examples of what they mean by eco friendly materials. They don't just stop at eco friendly materials, they give an example of what they mean. All right, let's go ahead, right, writers, and move on to the next paragraph. A higher tax on plastic bottles directly incentivizes recycling behavior. Individuals will be more likely to return their bottles for recycling to avoid incurring additional expenses. This, in turn, reduces the amount of plastic waste ending up in landfills or polluting our environment. Encouraging a culture of recycling can not only mitigate pollution, but also support the growth of a circular economy where recycled materials are used to create new products, reducing resource consumption. Again, stellar paragraph here in this idea of word choice. We have words such as incentivizing, incurring. We have this word choice such as mitigate. We also have this idea of the circular economy, which is interesting because that's sort of an interesting take on recycling, because we sort of like reduce, reuse, recycle, and they take that idea and look at it from an economic standpoint by bringing up this circular economy. So, those are just some unique ways that ChatGPT again addresses the prompt. Let's go ahead and move on to the next paragraph. The revenue generated from the increased tax on plastic bottles could be channeled towards various environmental initiatives. For example, the funds could be used to invest in infrastructure for recycling facilities, research and development of more sustainable materials, and educational campaigns to raise awareness about the importance of reducing plastic waste. This additional tax serves as a practical step towards securing a cleaner, healthier future for generations to come. We have very specific examples of how the tax money can be used with not just by saying infrastructure, but infrastructure for what? For recycling facilities. Research and development for what? For more sustainable materials. Educational campaigns for what? To raise awareness about the importance of reducing plastic waste. So I know for me, I could see myself as a writer just saying something like the funds could be used to invest in infrastructure, research and development, and educational campaigns without giving specific examples. So this is something that we can use. Well, let me rephrase that, right, writers, but this is one way that we can learn from ChatGPT by not just stating, oh, well, we can use it for this. Well, what about for this? Let's even be more specific of what we mean. And that's something I really appreciate about that paragraph. Let's move on to our next paragraph. Opponents may argue that an extra tax on plastic bottles is burdensome to consumers, particularly those with lower incomes. However, it is important to note that the primary focus is on shifting consumer behavior away from plastic bottles towards more sustainable alternatives. Moreover, measures can be implemented to minimize the impact on vulnerable populations, such as offering subsidies or lower taxes on eco friendly packaging options, ensuring affordability for all. One of the things I really love about this paragraph is ChatGPT, of course, brought up the counter argument, and they use the word opponents as opposed to critics. And what I like is they take the argument that an opponent might make and then address that argument specifically. That is something that I did not do in my essay. And I, in fact, talked about that, about this idea of, again, if you're bringing up the opponent's argument, you want to make sure, in order to recognize that this is a valid argument, you give a valid response to that same argument. So here, the argument is that this tax on plastic bottles is burdensome to consumers, and they even focus on consumers with lower incomes. Then they go on here and they say measures can be implemented to minimize the impact on vulnerable populations, such as offering subsidies or lower taxes on eco friendly packaging options. And then they talk about ensuring affordability for all. So ChatGPT directly addresses the opponent's argument. I also appreciate the transition words. We have the conjunctive adverb, however, followed by a comma, and then we have moreover, followed by a comma, rather than using furthermore or in addition. Now we have arrived at our conclusion. So let's go ahead and take a look at this conclusion and notice how the counter argument was placed just before the conclusion. Typically, in a persuasive essay, that is how it is done. You will have the counter argument right before the conclusion. Some writers prefer to have the counter argument, then have another reason why we should, in this case, tax plastic bottles, and then have the conclusion. But typically, what I see is the counter argument and then followed by the conclusion. However, just keep in mind, right, writers, that you may adjust your writing style, based on you, based on your needs and the needs of the assignment. Let's go ahead now back to our conclusion. To effectively address the ecological crisis caused by plastic bottles, it is crucial to take immediate action by imposing an additional tax on these products. This approach will spark a transformation in consumer behavior, promoting sustainable choices and reducing the devastating impact of plastic waste on our environment. By leveraging the potential of taxation as a tool for environmental change, we can establish a cleaner, greener future that prioritizes the well-being of our planet and all who inhabit it. Okay, so I really love the way the words flow. There's a beautiful flow within this paragraph, and even just the sound of the paragraph is sort of at the end. We've got this greener future that prioritizes the well-being of our planet and all who inhabit it. And so that it creates a bit of rhythm in that last sentence, which I really appreciate as a reader. And it's the only way you are able to capture that, right, writers, is by reading your work aloud. And that is really where you pick up on the rhythm and the flow of your writing. If you simply read it to yourself in your head, you will never catch or pick up on those subtle nuances in your specific writing style. Love the phrasing of ecological crisis. Love this idea of transformation, leveraging the potential of taxation as a tool for environmental change. I mean, that to me is wow. That's a whopper of a phrasing there that really just packs a punch in the writing. So, right, writers, I hope that reviewing ChatGPT's response to this particular persuasive topic will help encourage you to improve your writing and to continue to level up as you continue your writing journey. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please like and subscribe this video if you'd like to see more of them. Please let me know. I always appreciate feedback and even like thumbs ups and likes. I do see them and I appreciate seeing them and feel very motivated when I see them. So, with that said, Right Writers, have a great rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Love you guys. Take care. Bye bye.